What better way for a son and father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Michael Davis with my dad, Mack. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the star-studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And this is Dad and the Boys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's always good after a Dallas Cowboys victory when I can say I was wrong.
Yes, you were.
And yeah, we're Dad and the Boys. He's Dad. I'm Michael. I'm the son. And the Cowboys, the boys, won 2017 in Pittsburgh and defied all odds doing it. They didn't have Micah Parsons. They didn't have DeMarcus Lawrence. They didn't have DeRon Bland. They didn't have Kalen Carson. They didn't have Brandon Cooks. They were without a lot of people. Tyler Guyton, the starting left tackle, goes down. Marshawn Nealon goes down. It just one thing after another. Zach Martin even missed a couple series due to dehydration and cramping. But at the end of the day, also overcame some Dak turnovers. And the Cowboys won. I was baffled, Dad, and I'm happy that I'm baffled because, man, we stayed up late after an hour and a half weather delay to watch the Cowboys win on the road, and I'm sure you're about to tell me.
Well, first of all, let me just say this. I'm
not ready for you to say it.
First of all, not only were you wrong about the score and the team that's going to be victorious, second of all, you were wrong when you got on out of pocket and you started talking about the Cowboys and you said the Pittsburgh Steelers did this and the Pittsburgh Steelers did that. It wasn't necessarily about the Cowboys. The Cowboys came there shorthanded. They came there. They got the adversity of waiting an hour and a half for this storm to pass. They turned it over. Yes, they had several things to work on. They had penalties galore. Some of them not so legit. They're ref. Thank you, Mr. Hockley. You need to retire like your dad did. Okay? But the Cowboys took that victory, son. They should not have to do it. Nobody gave them a chance. They went in, they ran the ball.
About time.
Against a formidable defense. They passed the ball against a formidable defense, and our defense held their own against their offense. They were 3-1. In the words of Bill Parcells, your record is what you say. You are what your record says it is. Okay? Dallas is 3-2. Only 3 or 4 teams in the NFL have a better record. Period.
It was tough. I'm just talking like with everything that happened this game and with everything that happened going into the game, it was almost insurmountable. Like, I mean, we can talk about all the injuries, the weather delay, an hour and a half, but also you're on the road against Pittsburgh, prime time. Their strengths were they were the 4th best defense when it came to yards allowed.
Again, my point.
But also you had Justin Fields and Najee Harris, which Justin Fields going into this game was the 2nd best running quarterback behind Lamar, which the Cowboys didn't fare too well against the Ravens a couple weeks ago. Like, just everything that piled up and including the injuries, we were going back. Like, I remember just when Nealon went down, you went, and Guyton went down, you went, It just.
But you know the worst injury?
What?
Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert's injury. The dude got every man listening today on Boom Broadcasting and Fans First Sports Network knows what it's like when the family jewels get injured, baby. Jalen goes, I couldn't catch my breath. I lost my breath.
That's a call timeout. Call timeout.
You know, I mean, come on. When the family jewels get injured, Thank you. That is one thing I will say. You said thank you, Pittsburgh. Thank you, Pittsburgh. Thank you, Steelers. Because if Mike Tomlin had chose to save that timeout for when they got the ball back, Jalen Tolbert wouldn't have been on the field to catch the winning pass. Thank you, Tomlin.
Hey, and this is I mean, I've said Tomlin's praises. Like he's an impressive head coach. Hasn't had a losing season in like what 18 years as the Steelers coach.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, amazing.
That's remarkable. Mike McCarthy got the game ball.
Kind of Landry-ish, if you ask me.
Dude.
I mean, because Landry was that way. And understand, Chris Collinsworth said something. I know you're not a big Collinsworth fan.
Well, here's a guy.
But Collinsworth said something during the game that resonated with me because this was before your time. You know, in this area that we live in, there was basically all my friends in school. You were typically either one of three. You were either a Washington Redskins fan, a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, or a Dallas Cowboy fan. That was the three teams. That was the three teams that we actually got to see on a routine basis when we didn't have NFL Network. We didn't have NFL Sunday Ticket. We didn't have streaming services. We had three channels, and you watched what was on the TV. You didn't have a choice. And so, I mean, those were the teams that I grew up watching. Of course, you know where my heart lies. So, I mean, but going back into school on Monday morning, those were the teams that we competed against regularly, whether we were on the field against them or their success or failures, and Tomlin's doing great. I mean, 18 years, not a losing record. That's Landry-ish. Tom Landry was that way, 20 years without a losing record during a period. Now, he started, of course, at the beginning, he wasn't winning. But when he got there and he got them wheels turning, baby, we didn't lose.
And I hope the wheels start turning. Mike McCarthy getting his first ever game ball. We talked a little bit about that yesterday after we watched the Mike McCarthy press conference and, gave some news and updates about that. But I want to talk about the offense defense while we're on the air today, but I want to really talk about like that game winning drive because Dak, I mean, there's the social media, like, oh, let's hate on Dak. Let's say he has turnovers. He really doesn't have a lot of turnovers in games. If you've actually watched his entire career, he doesn't. There was one lone season where he was just out of sync. I think that was coming off an injury as well. He just couldn't get in sync that year. Yesterday or 2 days ago, rather. Technically yesterday. I mean,
yeah, because they finished the game Tuesday morning or Monday morning.
By the way, the first ever quarterback to ever throw a touchdown on different days in the same game, and that was Dak Prescott. So kudos to Dak. Probably won't ever happen again, and if it does, I don't want to stay up for it. But two interceptions. One of those definitely was. What are you thinking? The other one, CeeDee Lamb came over and said jump ball, not subpar. That was a note to take away on the sideline. Lamb wasn't upset by any means, any stretch. He was just communicating with his quarterback. Dak also fumbled the ball, but if Dak Prescott does not have the awareness to fall on that ball, when Rico leaped for the end zone and got knocked out, we're not celebrating today.
The game was done at that point. And I think we were both kind of waiting for that shoe to fall. And it was like, jump on it. Yeah. Woo! The sigh of relief in our house was great. Trust me. Because the wind had went out of the sails at that point. When we got down to the half-yard line. I mean, because we were sitting there, we were grateful that Dak didn't touch the pylon when he fumbled.
Oh, yeah.
Because
his hand was blocking the ball.
That would have been a touchback in the game. All right. Then you saw a crisis averted. Then they review it. They move it to the half-yard line. instead of the one, there were several spots during the game where they couldn't mark the ball to save their life. And then all of a sudden they move it to the half-yard line. Next play. Don't get me wrong. Now I do like Coach Mike, and I think my thing last time was what? Mike McCarthy unleashed this offense.
And he did.
And he did. So I have no qualms there except for one qualm. And you kept talking about a lot of other stuff. Challenging and all that. But I get that. It's okay. You miss a challenge here. You call a wrong challenge here. My qualm is this. Inside the 5-yard line, and Rico Dowdle have one heck of a game. I love you, Rico, but that's Elliott time.
Yeah, where is Zeke?
Zeke had a good game. I mean, he rushed what, 6 times?
17 yards.
17 yards.
Which isn't good, but I mean, there's several times where it's like, hey, here's a 3rd and short. Shouldn't we have Zeke on this team? Like, this is why you brought him back. This is what we missed last year with Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I mean, and Zeke, 3rd down and 1, he's probably going to get you the first down, and he did a couple of times during the game. Shout out Hunter Lipke. What a game. Had several key plays. Jake Ferguson, several key plays. Tolbert had the game of his career. He needed to step up with Brandon Cooks on the shelf for a little bit on IR, and the boy answered the bell.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you. Because Tolbert, 7 catches, 87 yards, a touchdown. Jake Ferguson.
And he come back and caught the winning pass with us.
He did. He was limping right there. I mean, you expect Jake Ferguson, 6 catches, 70 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 5 catches, 62 yards. You expect these guys to step up, but when Cooks went down, we're like, okay, who's going to be that guy? Kevontae Turpin, by the way, needs to get a shout out. 4 catches, 50 yards. We actually saw him in this offense, and it was nice to see.
That seam pass to him was amazing. That set a tone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seemed like Dallas would shoot themselves in the foot with a penalty or a turnover, red zone turnovers, block kick. It seemed like the cards were stacked against them. It seemed like, well, they get a start and then it'd be like, oh no, something else is going to happen. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. And they just kept fighting through it. With all of the decks stacked against them, they kept fighting through it. You couldn't ask for anything more from any team, any player. When you're down to your 5th defensive end, and let's be honest, folks, your 5th defensive end wasn't on here
a week ago.
Or at the beginning of the year. And he wouldn't be on here if 2 traders hadn't left and went to Washington. So you got him and you got another guy that's just elevated off the practice squad, and the kid showed out. So I mean, you got that. You at one point, not only all those injuries, at one point, you're sitting there and Dak is taking snaps with TJ Watt on the other side. And Rico Dowdle is running the ball, and Dak is stepping back there to pass the ball with Tyler Smith, TJ Bass,
Cooper Beebe,
Brock Hoffman, and Terrence Steele as his starting lineup. That's not a recipe for success.
Not against the Steelers.
Not against that defense. Steelers are known for defense and running the ball. Okay? And that's what's got them had them at 3-1. And these boys stepped up. They actually gained more yards when Tyler Guyton went out. Of course, he went out early, but they started gaining more yards on the ground. And there again, Rico Dowdle had the hot hand, so let him run. He got 20 carries. A running back needs, Nate Newton's pointed it out several times, a running back needs that 15 to 20 touches to get involved, to get their momentum going, to get that mojo going and excel.
And that's why I think we need to play Zeke a little bit more.
I do believe Zeke will play a little bit more going forward. It may be preserving him. Zeke's got some miles on his body. Rico doesn't. Play the hot hand. I don't care. And you know how I love Zeke Elliott. I don't care if it's Rico Dowdle running the ball. As long as you're having success. If he's the hot hand, run it.
And he was.
And he was this game.
And it was really nice to see the offense get going with some concerns coming into the game about the run game, about who would step up opposite side of CD Lamb. But we got to take a commercial break. If you're listening to us on Fans First Sports Network, when we come back, we'll be here on Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting for Dad and the Boys. And we're going to talk about why this defense was the unsung heroes of this game, of the 20-17 Cowboys victory. And we'll be back right after this break. Welcome back to Dad and the Boys. I'm Michael Davis with my dad, Mack. You did great, by the way, on your debut for Starstruck.
Well, thank you. And I'm actually working on something kind of a little surprise. So tune in this Saturday and see what I got cooking. I'm going to kind of drop something new. I'm going to let the folks learn about it when they come on and see what they think.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens right there. But Dad, while I had you here and you're not welcoming me on Starstruck on Saturdays, because then that would be Dad and the Boys. But it's okay. While I have you here, I did want to talk about this defense. Now, when you tell me we're missing Deron Bland, we're missing Kalen Carson, we're missing Micah Parsons, we're missing DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Williams was out.
Nealon goes out quick.
You're just like, who we playing? Dad, you want to suit up and go to Pittsburgh real quick at what will forever be known as Heinz Field, by the way. I was blown away by this defense, more particularly like the defensive line, and more particularly the guys who are just joining this team actually stepped up, like DeMarvion Overshown, a rookie. You had Aruarie, who was making plays, who wasn't anywhere close to that depth chart a few weeks ago. You had Tyrus Wheat. You had Linval Joseph. You had Carl Lawson making key plays that really kept Dallas in this. And I'll be honest, like, I did not see this from this team.
Well, and you know what? If I want you to remember, we talked about this one time before, and one thing I told Coach Zimmer that he needs to work on, and on his history lesson. And that was when Dallas played New Orleans several years ago, and they weren't expected to win. And they had Alvin Kamara over there, and they were worried about him. Who did they put on him? Jordan Lewis. Number 2, but number 1 in your heart. Okay?
Not George Pickens' heart. By the way.
That was the whole key. Jordan Lewis took him, basically shut him down, got into his head. And anybody that's ever played football knows if you start getting in a man's head and you're going up against him, he doesn't play his best game. He let Jordan Lewis get into his head to the point where he, at the end of the game, he wanted to slam the man down by his face mask. Good boy. Good job, my friend.
Jordan Lewis walking back to the locker room last
He's
night.
like, We won, baby. We won. It don't matter. I'll take it.
He was like, Pittsburgh need a receiver. Pickens lame. I was like, bro. Again, I would be shocked / disappointed if there's not repercussions for George Pickens for grabbing Jordan Lewis's face mask at the end of the game.
And what's up with the media? What is up with the media? They get a person, they get a player, and they go, ooh, this guy's a bust. This guy didn't perform. This guy really got drafted way too high, and he can't play. Well, guess what, folks? Mozzie Smith had one bad play. Of course, that's the one they're going to highlight. But homeboy actually went out there and performed. How much did they run for last night?
It was 26
Najee Harris. He got 42 yards off of 14 carries. I'll take that all day long.
Honestly,
Justin Fields, what? 6 carries for 27 yards?
Yeah, I was shocked they didn't utilize Fields' legs more.
2 weeks in a row, folks. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. No, I'm doing it live.
All right.
2 weeks in a row. We shut a team's run game down. Now, I know everybody says, well, New York ain't that running team since they don't have Saquon. But Pittsburgh's been running the ball, folks. That's all you heard last night, the other night, was from the former coach from Atlanta. That's all they do is run the ball. They run it effectively. You even said there, Mr. Henry and Mr. Lamar Jackson's light. And you know I'm a big Justin Fields fan. I liked him when he was Ohio State. We shut them down, folks. Something's clicking, doing their job. And they weren't relying on the superstars because the superstars weren't there except for Trayvon. And he wouldn't let his man do anything either.
It's a little more enjoyable when the Cowboys win. You're in a much better mood.
Oh yes. And you know, and everybody talks about the Steelers offense, how they aren't the top of the league. I want you to look at their tight end, Freiermuth,
however you want to pronounce it. 3 catches, 22 yards and touchdown.
But he's a good talent. He's a really good talented tight end. Look at their offensive line. I remember this past year, we were looking at potentially we were actually wanting the Dallas Cowboys to draft Zach Frazier in the first round, second round at worst. We didn't go that way. We went with Mr. Beebe in the third. But so they've got a talented offensive line. And they need that because that's what they do is they run the ball. They just didn't run it Monday night, Tuesday morning, because Dallas shut them down. Linville Joseph, strip sack.
That was big.
Who would have thunk it? I mean, let's be honest. Did you really think that we were going to get any sacks with DeMarcus not there? Micah not there, and then Nealon goes out. Now, I say all that and stuff, and Linville had a really good game, and he had that play. O'Diggy showed up.
Finally.
Tyrus Sweet was a man on a mission last night. He was letting everybody know, hey, I don't need to be on the practice squad much longer. You don't need to go outside and get reinforcements. I can do this until Micah Daddy comes back. But you would be remiss if you didn't mention the star rising. And you know I am struck by a star. And there is a star arising on this defense. DeMarvion Overshown.
Hey, I've been singing his praises.
Woo! Loudy.
He is fast, and his closeout speed, especially, like, that's why I'm like, why didn't we play Overshown more against the Ravens?
He went from a 1-2 down linebacker to you can't take him off the field linebacker.
He's definitely doing good. Maris Leofau made some plays.
Yes. And I can't pronounce that kid's name, and I know
Arware.
Yeah. He didn't allow anybody really take it off on him.
Yeah, you notice Booth wasn't seeing that field because
he wasn't that much, no. But I mean, there again, you had the man doing his job, and he was doing it effectively. And Kendricks, bro,
led the team in tackles.
Not only did you lead the team in tackles, you kept them doing their job. You lined them up. You were the quarterback on that defense, and you did your job.
Do you think that's why we see Kendricks on the field the most for a linebacker?
Yeah, because he's Mike Zimmer light. He is Mike Zimmer light. He's like coaches in his head. He's been with him most of his career, and he knows that defense inside and out. Hooker had a good game, and
he dropped it. He dropped a couple interceptions.
Yeah, so did Marbury and Overshown dropped an interception. But you know what? They're not Trayvon Diggs and DeRon Bland.
We missed that though. We
miss it.
Please catch the ball.
And think about it. We know that Bland's coming back. So is Micah. So is DeMarcus. So is Nealon.
Maybe.
Nealon's got a torn meniscus. It is not season ending, they said.
Okay.
You know, so, I mean, he's coming back. They avoided a scare there. I think, actually, today he's supposed to go in with the doctors and get they're supposed to go in and fix that for him.
Okay.
Scrape some out.
Awesome.
I think our team doctor is Dr. Cooper. I think he's the one that's going to go in and take care of that for us. And Nealon even posted on social media. He said, "I'm coming back soon." He ain't going to sit on the sidelines. He don't want to be there. He wants his rookie year to be special.
It's unfortunately probably going to take him out of the defensive rookie of the year placement in the standings, but I hope he has a speedy recovery. I hope the entire team has a speedy recovery. So while we are wanting Micah back, we are wanting D-Law, we did see guys step up, and this really was a next man up mentality win for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we'll be back for Dad and the Boys on our regular schedule, Tuesdays and Fridays, 3 p.m. The Thursday night game threw us off a little bit. It's okay. But and also the storm that impacted the Western North Carolina region. And again, if you guys are, feeling led to do so, please help out. There's still families who need help big time. We were very fortunate and thankful that all we had was losing power for a few days. And these lives here in this area are forever changed.
Well, and two, I mean, you got organizations like Samaritan Purse that are needing volunteers, needing some donations for supplies and stuff, doing amazing things. Not only for this area, but that's not their only mission. I mean, they still got Operation Christmas Child going on at this time, and it's heating up. Myself, I was just down Saturday, rode down with Freedom Biker Church to deliver boxes in the Bikers with Boxes celebration. So, I mean, they've got a lot of things going on, folks, and they can definitely use your if you're able to volunteer time, volunteer supplies, money, prayers. For the folks that are going through these things, the ministries that they're doing is amazing. Because again, and these folks that are dealing with this tragedy that they're going through as they're trying to rebuild their lives, mourning the loss of loved ones. We're coming up on the holidays. we're coming up on the cold season of the year, and it does get cold in that area. In that neck of the woods, it gets cold.
Yeah, so
I mean, we both been winters up in Boone.
Yeah, getting to watch App games. I went to school in Boone, North Carolina, at App State. So yeah, that place is near and dear to my heart. So please, if you feel led, do so. But until then, if you're able to watch this, thank you. If you're able to listen to this, thank you. And we'll continue providing you an escape and some entertainment to your days and your weeks. And that'll be it for our episode today.
So go Cowboys, baby.
Go Cowboys. Dad and the boys will be back Friday afternoon on Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting through the Star-Studded Cowboys Network. But guys, you may return to your regularly scheduled lives now. And remember, this isn't our first rodeo, and we'll catch you here next time.